Trainers, welcome back to another podcast episode in the car this go around. Seems like the audio has been shifting a little bit by bit every time I've been recording because I can't just find one place and record a podcast. But here we are once again in the car. We're going to go over Great League this go around. It's been a week's worth of Great League in the new season 22. We did not play anything in Willpower Cup, and it's not for nothing. You know, I love Willpower Cup, but with the new season, with new move updates and new Pokemon getting moves, fast moves, and charge moves, it's really a great opportunity just to play around and see what's really working, what doesn't work, what's the hype, what's really great, and what things you can experience when you're playing around. And if you've been watching my live streams and or my shorts, y'all know I think this week the true MVP in terms of Pokemon, and has not even gotten any new move updates besides last season with Thundershock, it's Morpeko. Yes, Morpeko is a force to be reckoned with. Funny enough, on YouTube, I hear all the different comments, or I've seen all the different comments as far as it being too broken, it's too OP, there's no skill set behind it, it's a cheat code. Even on TikTok, people are saying like this thing is a monster, it's a beast, and you know what? It's true. Yeah, Morpeko with Aura Wheel is a force to be reckoned with. And even with the Psychic Fang fast move slash bait, or not fast move, but fast charge move slash bait move, it's a really strong Pokemon to use. And if you pair it up with a couple other Pokemon on your team that doesn't necessarily have maybe like the best hard-hitting charge move, but it hits and you get to it really fast, it's a nice pair to work with Morpeko. But man, there's so many teams weak to Morpeko. Poor broken against Morpeko, just doesn't have an answer. Morpeko, I mean, that's the thing with Morpeko, it's like if you don't have a Pokemon that charges faster than Morpeko, it's an issue. If you don't have a necessarily response to Morpeko, surely a big issue. Because once Morpeko has an energy lead and a shield advantage, if you don't have like a Wigglytuff, a Gastrodon, or another Pokemon that just like hits it really hard, Morpeko just knocks out teams left and right. Top left, sweeps, like you name it, Morpeko is just a force to be reckoned with. So, but yeah, I've been loving Morpeko so much, as much as, you know, some of the viewers in the live streams and some of the comments saying like, build another team, use something else. I'm like, nah, you know, Morpeko is just too much fun, you know? It's Great League is as chaotic as it can be, and when you find something that just works, like why not, you know, change to something else when it really works, and when you're actually having fun with that Pokemon as well too. So if you don't have a Morpeko, I would say get one, use it for the next day or so. I'm actually kind of contemplating it, bringing to regionals as well too. I had a couple people asking when am I going to go to the next one, and the one that's on the radar obviously is Atlanta, Georgia, which I think it's next month. So I'm still thinking about it, but if I am going, I'm going to go, and Morpeko is definitely going to be on the team. But we got to see what other Pokemons really work in unison with Morpeko, because like I said, Psychic Fang is a nice bait move, and if you can, you know, knock one of those against your opponent and switch it to another Pokemon to flip switch, by all means, it's something to usually work towards your benefit there. But jumping on to other things I've experienced, because that's been about like almost 5 minutes worth of Morpeko putting that thing up on a pedestal. We're gonna dive into more Great League stuff. So I think one of the things I've really seen this go around, being Morpeko so strong as it is that there were so many water teams out in the Great League, which, you know, to everyone's defense, the water typing is such a strong typing. It's been strong since the very beginning of Go Battle League. I mean, with Lapras getting the move, which is a very strong Pokemon, that's what we paired it up basically with Morpeko. And yeah, I mean, Blastoise is, I think, one of those things that people have been arguing that it's probably even stronger than Lapras, but I think it's kind of like neck to neck with Lapras and Blastoise, because they're both very strong water types, very bulky, pretty much has the same move sets, and has a pretty good fast move as well, side wave and rollout. So you can't really go wrong with either or. seen people pair it together in the back and having something in the front like a grass type like Jump Bluff or Superior, or something that's weak against fire types where you have 2 water type answers in the back, which pairs it up pretty well. Another one I've seen too is Credilli, which Credilli and Lapras are weak against fighting, but you don't really see too much fighting. So, but yeah, those two have been pretty strong. We've been seeing a lot less ground types and fairy types, which is, again, another reason why Morpeko's has been doing really well, because Lapras, again, just has a fight against Gastro, has a fight against Wiggles. And, there's just been other Pokemon out there that have been countering the Wigglytuff, which has been Galarian Weezing for the most part, which is Sludge buff, and having a Shadow Galarian Weezing has been another force to be reckoned with. A very fast-paced type of Pokemon. You could say it has okay bulk, but with its typing, with some of its resistances, it can hold up pretty well. But again, I'm kind of surprised that Gastro hasn't really been too much involved in this meta. I think it's still a strong pick, but with other flying types like Mandibuzz and Talonflame and Guzzlord as well too. Guzzlord not a flying type, but just, throwing out another dark type out there. I mean, it's those Pokemon that, Gastro has just been kind of shying away bit by bit. But with the rise of Galarian Weezing, we tried that this past week and we messed around with Hyper Beam. It's kind of a mean fast, or not even a fast move, it's a mean charge move. Threw some opponents off guard, which has been pretty great because a lot of people are suspecting that you have Sludge and Brutal Swing. That's the recommended moveset for Weezing. So yeah, and we've been surprising some Wiggles in the lead with a switch into Lapras, because that's been kind of a core in itself. And once you land that Hyper Beam against a Lapras, you can come in with your own Lapras, which is what I had, and you can basically farm down before it even gets to a Skull Bash, which is kind of crazy. So Weezing's been really fun. I think Brutal Swing and Sludge is the go-to movesets, though I've seen some people mention about Overheat, Shadow Overheat. Does a lot of damage. I think that's another great pair. That and Sludge. Can't go wrong with Brutal Swing too. And Play Rough is the other moveset as well. But I don't know. I think Fairy Winds in combination of Sludge and either Brutal Swing and Overheat's just been a good option for Weezing. But Weezing's been such a very, very fun pick without a doubt. But jumping into another Pokemon, which we actually seen in the regionals. I don't know if you guys watched the Vancouver regionals. Congratulations to Rise to Occasion, once again hitting number 1, following by Haydonis and then Dunebug. Very, very competitive and amazing battlers. I was low-key wishing Haydonis could have won, but I'm very happy that Rise has won as well too. But with Golisopod has been a very strong pick in this meta too, receiving Aqua Jet as its other charge move buff. So we're dropping Liquidation, we have X-Scissor and Aqua Jet, which has been an amazing coverage for a lot of the grass types and other types that with Golisopod's just been working really great. The resistances it gets with its typing of water and bug, it's been really fun. Again, another reason why Gastrodon hasn't been really part of this meta, because you can't really hit too much, being resisted with the fast moves and the nuke moves of Earth Power and Water Pulse. So it really just comes down to just Body Slam, and just that alone doesn't do enough with the pacing of what Golisopod can do against a Gastrodon. So Golisopod's been very, very well. It does very well against Dugong as well, which is another regional top pick that we've seen just recently too in the Vancouver regionals, and it holds up just pretty well with majority of the meta. Lapras and has play against Jumpluff, even though Jumpluff it still hits with the Aerial Ace, but you still have some play against that. It gets a little iffy with Morpeko, but even so, having X-Scissor, you can still hit for super effective damage, so you still put on that kind of pressure. Credilli as well too, still putting on that pressure, even though Tomb Rock, or Rock Tomb, Rock Tomb is the super effective move. But again, X-Scissor just still hits. I mean, Golisopod just puts that pressure, it has that bulk, it has that kind of pacing. It's a very, very strong pick, and I've been seeing that quite a bit. Jumping into another bug type Pokemon that we've seen, which a lot of people have been saying it's a core breaker, which I would say it's probably one of the top picks in terms of a core breaker type of Pokemon, and that's Charjabug. A lot of the teams that I've come up with and played this past week, which hasn't been much, I've been definitely core broken by Charjabug, and having the discharge rework. It's not necessarily a buff. It's been a rework. And having X Scissor with the Volt Switch, the typing again too, it's very strong. It still hits pretty hard against all your water types, all your dark types. Has play against Jumpluff as well too. Has play against Superior. It's a very well-balanced Pokemon, and I think without a doubt it has a place in the meta for sure. Oh, there, my phone thing is going down. But yeah, I mean, Charjabug is just, it's a strong pick, and it does have Crunch. I don't think you can utilize Crunch anywhere, but just throwing it out there, if someone wants to be a little spicy with the move, Crunch can probably be maybe the replacement to Discharge. I don't know, maybe like Crunch and X Scissor with Volt Switch, like you're kind of having your coverage all over the place. Keep that in mind. I don't know. Someone maybe play around with it, throw a video out there, let me know how it goes. But Charjabug, I think this week's Core Breaker winner, Charjabug for sure. I think other Pokemon that's still been pretty strong so far in this new season has been Grumpig. I think a lot of people have still been playing around with it. I think it's still very fast with the pacing to Dynamic Punch and also Shadow Ball. Yep, Shadow Ball. It's been kind of interesting because with a couple of the Pokemon that I've been using against it, just with the side wave damage and the Dynamic Punch, even if it's like, I don't know what Pokemon, I mean, I can even say like Galarian Weezing, for example. By the time it gets a Dynamic Punch, Weezing is like already at half health, if not like 40% health or even lower than that, which Dynamic Punch would almost be enough to knock it out realistically. It's kind of crazy. Like, you don't even need to necessarily go to Shadow Ball. Just with the pacing of Side Wave, the damage, and then Dynamic Punch is just kind of crazy for a Grumpig coming out of nowhere to being top meta. And it's still kind of questionable a little bit because I still think people don't really have a Grumpig available or even a Shadow one, even though the regular one is highly ranked through PvPoke. But it's still, I think, a very strong Pokemon, and it's something that we're just going to continue to see. I mean, I'm kind of curious on how that is going to play out for the next regional, because from what I've heard, and I wasn't really paying too close attention to what was allowed and not allowed to the Vancouver regional, but I heard that Lapras and Grumpig were not allowed in the regional, so that's the reason why we didn't see it. So kind of curious how it's going to really play out for the next regional once it's actually available amongst the other Pokemon that are part of this meta. And we're going to see some like other cool Pokemon pop up into play, which people have been kind of saying that Fortress is going to be that pick. We did see Shadow and regular Steelix into play this past regional, Rise being one of those. Trainers using it, which seemed pretty strong, which I think is going to be pretty strong for a Steel type for this next regional go around, and even in this meta too that we have currently, which has been kind of a surprise. The drop of Steel types, and the only one on top of my head that really would have that play would be Steelix, having the bulk, the Thunder Fang against the water types, having the debuff move of Psychic Fang, also Breaking Swipe, which would have play against your dragons, aka would be Guzzlord, because Guzzlord has been another strong core break type of Pokemon that I've used a little bit here nor there and what other people have mentioned. But something to really look into is Steelix. I did build one, a Shadow one, because I did have a regular one, and I want to give that a shot. Maybe I might do that tonight on stream before the league switches into the other new cup, which I already forgot what it's called. I think it's called Scroll Cup, which was like your Psychic, Dark, and Fighting types. No, it was Dark, Water, and Psychic types, if I remember. Oh boy. Well, we might have another video for that anyways, which I'll do some review. But again, you know, it's just, I think it's just been really interesting to see how Great League meta has already shifted so much since this new season has been announced, and we've been playing for a week already. And I've seen on the X comments quite a bit here or there, at least people have been posting it, how Niantic did a good job, and I do commend and I do agree where it's like, yeah, they finally didn't nerf Pokemon that were too OP last season, but they made other Pokemon good, which if you want to use the old season meta, by all means you can, but you gotta watch out for the newcomers, the new underdogs, the sleeper picks, as I would say, which I have a couple notes here for some sleeper pick Pokemon that you can possibly use today, if not, you know, the next rotation of Great League. But yeah, I mean, Great League has been kind of fun for what it's worth. And like I said, I love Morpeko. I love my electric types. I like to play the psychology, the mind games a little bit here nor there. Bait, not to bait, to throw the nuke move, to throw the lesser hard-hitting move. I love those kind of strategies when it comes to GBL, especially for Great League more than anything. I mean, it's kind of hard to do it for Ultra League and also Master League, but by all means, it's still fun to utilize that kind of element of surprise for GBL, because we don't have that anymore for the Show 6 regional format. So, but yeah, moving on to Pokemon that I have on my notes that are still strong, that I've still kind of seen a little bit here nor there. Clodsire, which have been kind of surprised seeing more Sludge Bomb Clodsires than Stone Edge. I would almost argue that Stone Edge is better than the Sludge Bomb, but you guys have to let me know why Sludge Bomb over Stone Edge, because I still think in this meta with some of the bug types out there, Stone Edge is great. Some of the flying types still with Mandibuzz and Talonflame and Jump, I think Stone Edge is still pretty good, though you can still vouch for Sludge Bomb against not Charge Bug for Jump Bluff. Same thing for Azu as well too, because Azu's still making an appearance here or there, still a very strong pick against all the other water types. But yeah, I mean, I still think Stone Edge is the way to go, but Clodsire is still a strong pick. Another one that's still hanging on as a safe swap or even in the lead is Drapion. Even though we've seen, and I think because Drapion has been here for a bit more than what I was anticipating, is because the lack of Gastrodon. With the waters rising and the Glissopods have been in play. Drapion has a little bit more of that shelf life going on right now because, there's not as many ground types. I mean, Marowak as well, too. I didn't even write it in my notes because I didn't see as many Marowak teams. Maybe a little bit in the back here nor there, but not as much as I anticipated as well, too, because Glisopod, it's resisting the fast moves, it's resisting the bait moves, so, getting to that rock slide's kind of difficult, and even with the water types, it makes it harder for Marowak. But, yeah, I mean, Drapion is still a very, very strong pick. I wouldn't sleep on that at all. Again, Crunch and Aqua Tail is the go-to movesets. I don't see really a reason why to go Sludge unless your team is really needing a fairy answer of sorts or even a grass type, which for the most part, Crunch and Aqua Tail kind of does that more than enough with Drapion. So, but yeah, another interesting hit or miss in terms of Pokemon I've seen. I heard, people vouch for it being very good, but I haven't really seen much action. Spiritomb, Fortress. I've been seeing a little bit more Primeapes, which I think, again, just like Morpeko, those type of Pokemon, give it an energy lead, give it a shield advantage. We've seen it in regionals, in the back as a closer. Once it ramps up, man, it's like game over, basically. It is game over. For the most part, with Primeape, Ragefish, and Close Combat, I still think those are still very strong Pokemon. Out of those that I talked about, I think maybe Primeape has still been the strongest, either in the lead, where people are trying to get the shield in the beginning and then have the shield advantage as they swap out, or even as the closer, trying to get shields in the beginning and having your shields for Primeape and try to close the game with that. Very strong strategy picks for those type of teams for Primeape aspect. So yeah, I don't think that's been the best sentence there, but we're still gonna leave it into this podcast. Another one that's been kind of a hit or miss, which I've only seen the first couple of ranks, was Medicham. I think there's too many dark types or not dark types, ghost types, and some fairy types here or there, but Medicham hasn't had a chance to shine. And also there's been a drop in the normal types, which really has been Dunsparce and Ferret. But yeah, Medicham, I'm surprised it hasn't had really much play. I think it still can have play. He's got to utilize it in a very strategic way. Let's just put it that way, but I'm throwing it out there. Other odd picks that I have not seen as much, Drifblim with Hex, Dusclops as well too. Morpeko has just been dominating those as well. So another reason why might not be seeing as much on top of the other things that are currently in the meta, but with the Hex buff itself, Dusclops has really made a presence a little bit more in the regionals that we've seen recently this past weekends. But again, in terms of gameplay, I haven't seen much of it because it just doesn't hit hard. It's a bulky Pokemon, but it doesn't hit hard. I almost want to say you need Poltergeist on Dusclops in order for it to have some play, to land that nuke move when you need it. And then it comes into play. I guess you just run Ice Punch and Poltergeist at that point, unless unless you want to have the Shadow Punch for the pacing, to gain shields, to burn up the switch timer. By all means, I think Dusclops can be that Pokemon. But another Pokemon in terms of ghost types, which is just got his community day. I would not recommend Blast Burn unless you want to use it as a closer based on the matchups I've seen through PV Poke, but Skeledirge with Torch Song and Shadow Ball, I faced a couple of them, and I've seen other streamers face a couple of them as well too, and I think as a safe swap, it is a very strong pick. I don't know if I would say it is a Talonflame replacement, but another Pokemon that can ramp up, and man, once shields are down, which I can tell you that, what's his name, Skeledirge can do that, landing a boosted Shadow Ball against most things besides a normal type is going to hurt so much. On top of it, having the Incinerate buff, which the Torch Song does as well too, I think it's a very strong pick if you can utilize Skeledirge really well. Keep that in mind. But you know, trying to wrap this up a little bit, we're at the 22-minute-ish marker. We have Jellicent, which I've seen that quite a bit, but I haven't seen much play in action because Morpeko just wrecked them every time. It was so funny ramping up. Again, seeing so many double water types, I didn't see much play with Jellicent because, man, non-boosted Morpeko gets it in the red, doesn't one-shot it, but boosted, yeah, it does. Like, pacing is just as fast as Jellicent with its new Hex buff with Surf. I think as far as I heard, Hex doesn't do anything different with the pacing of Surf, but it does with Shadow Ball. I didn't really look into it, honestly, but again, Jellicent is a good typing for a water ghost, but I haven't had much play with it, and I haven't seen much play with it because of Morpeko itself. Just to wrap things up with sleeper picks, haven't had a chance to use it, but I've seen other people use it, and I think they're still strong picks, but you just got to utilize a team comp that works really well with it. Ariados, Pangoro, with the amount of darks and shadows, in ghost types, I think Pangoro is still a very strong pick. Even against like Steelix and other types, I think Pangoro can do really well. I just said Steelix. I think as of all steel types, I think it's still very strong in this meta with all the water types gaining the debuffs. I could probably pair that with Morpeko more than anything. I think that would be interesting. Seeing like 2 double debuffing Pokemon, I think it can really ramp things up and change the pacing of the game with just that alone. So keeping that in mind for later. We did try Roserade, another sleeper pick, I think, with the new Poison Sting update for Roserade. Yeah, pace is really fast. It has Weather Ball coverage for fire. Really good against other grass types. Leaf Storm hits really hard. So I think it's another strong pick to use. Don't sleep on Roserade. I've seen Quagsire, another strong pick as well too. Another sleeper pick. I think you just got to utilize it very well. But again, you know, it's a fast pacing Pokemon and it can do a lot of damage. Has a lot of coverage against the flying types, the ground types as well too. And Low Kick, which I don't know. People are talking around on the internet about Low Kick. It's a squishy Pokemon. It hits hard. It has Sucker Punch. It has X Scissor and Trailblaze. I think it can work pretty well, but again, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I haven't built one. I don't think I have a good PvP one just yet, but something to consider. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, I think that's about it for now. For the wrap-up of Great League and what we've seen. Morpeko has just been the MVP. A lot of teams are weak against it. If you know how to utilize it, sure, call it a cheat code, call it overpowering, too OP. It's just a strong Pokemon, and I've been utilizing it in an ABA fashion manner with the teams I've been building, and once I get a shield in the lead and get an energy generation in the back for Morpeko, it just goes to town, man. It just goes to town, especially with Lapras in the back. So with a bulky Pokemon on top of a fast-pacing, strong-hitting Pokemon, you just can't go wrong with it. So yeah, get your Morpekos. Find your Morpekos. Get some good PvP IV ones. Maybe get a good one for regionals, because I still think it's going to be a strong pick if someone knows how to utilize it. It's a high risk, high reward type of Pokemon. And yeah, that's about it for this episode in the car. Cooking in South Florida with this heat. It's coming back. It is coming back. But without a doubt, have a good day, good night, wherever you're at. Be nice and kind to others, and be ready for another episode jumping into the new League of Scroll Cup. And I will see y'all later. Ciao.